I've had an idea for a series of videos for a good while now, and it's always been in the back of my mind, and I always thought that at some point maybe I should probably do something about it, but at no point in time did I actually think I was going to go through with it, simply because I never fleshed anything out, and I had no structure. I had no motivation to step forward with this. And then I came across a topic that I wanted to discuss for a very specific reason. Very recently, a video released under the Hugo and Jake channel, formerly The Bible Reloaded. And just by looking at the thumbnail, I was already kind of in the wrong mindset for what they were going to present. It was kind of my first hint that this was something I needed to delve into. In the video, Hugo announces or restates, since apparently there was a post on Twitter, that he intends and is in the midst of transitioning from male to female. Now I know what my reaction should have been, and ultimately it's the reaction that I have, which is, I don't really fucking care. You do you. Whatever. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that in particular. I don't know Hugo personally. I will probably never meet Hugo. And aside from the video content, Hugo's life has no effect on mine. So why should I care? And I kind of don't. And I think that's fine. But that was not my initial reaction. My initial reaction was something between, are they doing a skit of some kind? And fucking hell, another one of these fucking... And as soon as I started having that second part, especially, I took a step back and went, wait, why do I care? And I think there's a few reasons why. Once upon a time, I was very much into the atheist YouTube community. I wasn't part of it. I didn't participate in communities. I'm not that kind of a person. But I was really into it in terms of all these different videos that came up and all these people coming together to talk about the subject. It was something I was really keen on, really interested in. It was one of those perfect timing kind of things when everyone was talking about it, or at least it seemed like everyone was starting to talk about it, right when it became an interest of mine. And for a good long while I stuck with it. But as time goes on, and anyone who's familiar with it would notice, that stuff only can take you so far. You can only talk about your lack of a belief for so long before you start running thin on material. And credit where credit is due, there were a few channels that strived to continue that focus even after really the main draw of it was gone. Channels like The Thinking Atheist, The Bible Reloaded, aforementioned, The Messianic Manic, or however you pronounce the name. I'm not looking at this stuff. I'm not scripted right now. Plenty of channels that wanted to continue that focus on a world without God and belief and all that nonsense and fun, which is great. But there were other channels that started that way that slowly or quickly focused on other things in order to grab the attention of people and try to make sure that they were relevant still. There's some major players and some of the obvious ones. And it all centered around feminism, anti-feminism, social justice warriors, and anti-SJW stuff. Stuff that when I initially started absorbing that from content creators that I enjoyed, just without noticing it seemed like a natural progression of mindset, and a lot of stuff that was there that was easy to poke fun at and was enjoyable to poke fun at. A lot of silly people on the internet that like to make themselves front and center. As they went on, a lot of them became more and more extreme in the way they viewed things and the way they opposed things. And while there's some of them that I still, even to this day, can enjoy, most of them kind of went too far in one direction or another. And fortunately, I caught it at a point where I realized that the content they were producing lacked a certain level of substance. It lacked this nuance that I guess I really wanted, and I think was really important for me, because I can very easily find myself in a situation where someone says or does something, and because I'm already familiar with them and what they think, I find myself really agreeing in general with them. And it really takes something a little extreme before I have to take a step back and think about what it is that's going on and whether or not I really should associate with that, or if I should start thinking more for myself. And, as a neutral third party looking in on anyone and everyone, I do think that you should do a lot more self-reflection. And while people can be influential and they can provide information that you were not aware of or a perspective that you were not aware of, at the end of the day, you should not be letting them make your choices. You should be making your choices, and I know that if I let it, I won't be. But I did catch at some point that they were going down a path that I wasn't interested in. They were thinking things that on some level I disagreed with, and I pulled away from that community for a lot of it. Pulling away from that community did not mean that I was freed from the mindset that they had instilled in me. I still cringed at the idea of social justice warriors and what they did and how they wanted to control things. I still sneered at feminism for what it had become. I still had a sympathetic ear towards those who fought for the rights of men, because I knew that there were real issues at hand, and most people were dismissive of those problems because it's men and they have all of everything, or some such nonsense. It's really difficult to look at all those things with nuance when you've spent so much time in a world where people are easy to just lump things together and categorize everything and put everything in teams. It also didn't help that the little bit of exposure I did have to alternate views had a tendency to be really extreme and proving everyone that I had been listening to beforehand, which ultimately put me back in the position that I felt like I'd always wanted to be, of I don't care about your politics, leave me out of it. And that's hard because everything is politics, even if you don't want it to be. I don't say that because I believe it, I say that because everyone else does. And as long as people believe that you can make it political, they're going to make it political. But I noticed that I had gone a little too far in one direction in my head. First, when I was watching some DVD extras. Specifically, I was looking at the DVD extras for Batman v Superman, because it was probably a much more enjoyable thing to do than watch the actual film. Bad joke. I love extras on DVDs. I love looking behind the scenes. I love documentary type stuff where you get to explore, the histories of things and how things got to where they are now. And on this particular DVD or Blu-ray, they had one for Wonder Woman, because for some stupid reason, the Batman vs. Superman movie had Wonder Woman front and center, instead of giving her a chance to shine on her own first, or giving us Batman vs. Superman as it was implied, but I digress. I remember watching that DVD extra and at first really enjoying it. And then at some point, they made mention of Wonder Woman in terms of being a feminist icon. And I remember as soon as they said that, my eyes would roll. I kind of just wanted to stop watching this. It's like, oh God, they're going to bring feminism into something that I don't want your political stuff in. And that was the first time I really noticed what I was doing to myself or what had been done to me. That was the first time where I stopped and went, wait, what am I doing? Of course they're going to talk about Wonder Woman being a feminist icon. She's a feminist icon. That's not, third wave feminism appropriating something that I love. That's not people trying to apply an ideology where it didn't belong. This is history. This is something that was factually the case at some point in time. You can go into the history books and there she was being used. That's like getting upset at the mention of Rosie the Riveter as a feminist icon. It's like, no, that's what she was. And, I reacted more because this was something that I was trying to enjoy and this ideology was being shoved into it. Except it wasn't really being shoved into it. It was just being explained as it should be. This is what it is. And it was at that point that I really realized something's wrong. I've been so focused on the negative aspects of something that, historically speaking, was a very great positive, and I consciously acknowledged that there was a great positive to it. But I had been so turned off by its mere presence that I immediately cringe at just the mention of it. I immediately wanted to dismiss anything and everything going on because someone decided to bring it up in conversation. When Hugo announced that on the video he was transitioning into a woman, I had the same reaction. That same reaction of, oh God, here we go. What the fuck is this? And that felt wrong. And I know, feelings, but this is about my reaction to things. And I realized I'm reacting in a way that is very counter to the way I think, the way I feel. My reaction is based off of a subconscious reaction to something that I don't like being applied where it no longer belongs. Sure, there's still a part of me that will cringe really hard at the stupidity of people and how they are quick to judge, how they think that they know better and you don't, and how they want to insert themselves into your life and tell you what you're doing wrong and how they know better. That hasn't changed. What has changed is that I no longer should be associating that with a very specific label. And it's not something that I should dwell on, nothing that I should focus on. There are plenty of dumb people in the world, and they're always going to say and do things that are going to make me want to cringe. But I should not have a visceral reaction. Visceral might be a little too strong a word, but I should not have such a reaction at the mention of something associated with them, even tangentially. I should not immediately want to pull away and disregard something that I ultimately have nothing to do with. I'm glad that I was able to catch it first when I saw that Wonder Woman documentary thing, because I think it helped me catch it again this time and help me understand where my head is and where I want it to be. I don't care that Hugo wants to become a woman. It's whatever. Personally, I think he looks better with a beard, but he feels better being a she. Alright. You do you. Not my business. If she wants to spend the rest of her life as a woman, so be it. I have other videos in the same vein that I want to do. Maybe not the same vein. Just videos where I sit here and talk in front of a mic about odd subject matter that I've always wanted to question, but I never tried to because I guess I felt like I was the only one who cares. Maybe I still do. Oh, what the fuck? Who cares? It's not like anyone's gonna watch this anyway.